In our headlines for this evening, locally, AICA assists Ministry of Agriculture with the advancement of shade house technology on the island, and UNESCO facilitates Youth for Human Rights workshop. The details are straight ahead. Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Thursday, March 5th, 2015. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. The Ministry of Agriculture today received a donation which will assist in the advancement of agriculture on the island. The $52,000 donation is a fulfillment of a promise made to the ministry by the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation in Agriculture, AICA, at a brief ceremony held this morning at the Prospect Agricultural Station. AICA representative Augustine Merchant handed over the donation.
Almost 2 years ago, I invited Mr. Evelyn and the minister to St. Kitts to look at shade house technology as well as some other things. Both of them were very fascinated with what they saw, and they said that they wanted one for Nevis. I gave them a promise that I'll try to do whatever to ensure that Nevis gets one. However, it has been some challenges which I came up against, but I'm very happy that today I'm here to hand over the check which would see the building, the erection of a shade house. Over in St. Kitts, you have some persons there with some crops, tomatoes in particular and pepper. Some of them have planted them 12 months ago. I can think of 2 persons who planted their crop about 12 months ago. And they haven't replanted, and they are still harvesting, and harvesting very, very, very good crop. That's just an idea about it. So we are hoping that in terms of, say, the availability of crops, that would be something to a certain extent of the past once we get the greenhouse is in shape.
The donation, according to Merchant, would not only be used to construct the shade house, but also to fund at least 4 training exercises promoting the use of the technology.
I'm hoping that the general public, farmers on Nevis, will be able to at least be very conversant with shade house technology. In addition to that, last year we had some training courses in Mexico. We had at least 5 training courses where 9 nationals were able to participate in these courses. And we are hoping that this year again, we'll have the training, those same training courses, and we are hoping that at least 2 persons would be able to go to Mexico for at least 3 weeks to enhance their skills in shade house technology. So this is something which the farmers on Nevis have to look forward to.
The donation, a joint effort of AICA and the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, was accepted by Permanent Secretary Eric Evelyn on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture.
I just want to take this opportunity to assure Mr. Merchant that he'll have the commitment of the Ministry and the Department of Agriculture. We are going to do all in our power to ensure that the greenhouse is well taken care of and that the greenhouse will be productive at all times. Of course, we would have had some challenges with the present greenhouse, but I think we have those worked out right now. And I have the commitment of my staff, and Mr. Merchant has the commitment of myself and my staff to ensure that the greenhouse will be put to proper use, and Nevis will be the better for it, and agriculture on Nevis will be the better for the greenhouse. So I just want to take this opportunity once again to thank AICA and CARDI for this kind gesture, and to assure them that the monies that we're going to be provided will be put to very good use, and agriculture in Nevis will be better as a result of this.
Evelyn heads a committee which is also comprised of Director of Agriculture Keithley Abery, former Director Samuel Powell, Supervisor Randy Elliott, and Contractor Kenroy Martin, which has been set up to oversee the construction and the eventual management of the shade house. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is currently undertaking a project to facilitate the implementation of human rights education in institutions in the Federation. The project is being undertaken through the St. Kitts and Nevis National Commission for UNESCO. Today, a two-member delegation paid a courtesy call on the Premier's ministry.
The purpose of Youth for Human Rights is very simple. It's to teach youth about human rights, specifically the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but then to inspire them to become advocates for tolerance and peace. You see, this very important document written by the United Nations some 66 years ago is excellent, but it was written in scholarly language. So as a teacher of ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, I believe I'm a teacher of human rights as well. And to me, it's really important to bring that document in a language and in a manner that kids can relate to and that they find interesting and relevant for themselves. You see, to me, human rights are like a bicycle wheel where you have 29 spokes to the wheel. The right to an education, the right to a nationality, the right not to be discriminated against, and so on and so on. 29 spokes. But just like any bicycle wheel, unless you have that cog in the middle of the wheel that holds all the spokes together, the bicycle won't work. And so I'm here to encourage students and educators to take upon themselves, maybe once a week, to learn one of those human rights and take responsibility for their own human rights.
Dr. Mary Shuttleworth is the founder and president of Youth for Human Rights International. She was one of the facilitators of a Youth for Human Rights Awareness Training of Trainers workshop held yesterday at the EOC. Secretary General Antonio Maynard says the St. Kitts and Nevis National Commission for UNESCO is pleased to be working closely with Youth for Human Rights International.
We are cognizant of the fact that the young people on Nevis and throughout the Caribbean do not understand the true human rights. And we believe that this project would profile these 30 human rights laid down by the United Nations some over 60 years ago. And we still don't understand our human rights. And therefore, we hope that teachers and young leaders will impart this knowledge to the young people in this country in a very, very friendly way. We're hoping too that a robust organization will emerge out of this project where the young people could lobby government with respect to infringement on their own human rights. If young people understand their human rights, they would be responsible to make sure that they don't trample upon other people's rights.
The Commission collaborated with the Department of Youth and Sports to facilitate yesterday's training.
The project serves to raise awareness for the human rights, the 30 human rights, among our youth. So our aim is to make sure that our young people know their human rights. And with knowledge, we all know, comes power. And so we're empowering them through this knowledge.
Meantime, yesterday's workshop sought to define human rights, raise awareness among the youth about human rights issues, demonstrate how Youth for Human Rights International training materials are to be used in the training of groups, promote justice for those whose rights may be violated, and promote the understanding that with rights there are responsibilities. One of the important stakeholders in the implementation of the project is the Department of Education.
I trust that as a result of today's training, we will all acquire specific facts, ideas, and behaviors, and develop a certain degree of uniformity within the limits of individual differences so that we can go back to our respective institutions and departments speaking the same language to effectively teach our young people about human rights, what they are, why they are so important, and how our youths can help to make human rights a reality everywhere.
Junior Minister of Social Development, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, had the honor of declaring yesterday's workshop officially open.
I take this opportunity to congratulate the participants for taking the first step in the Youth for Human Rights Awareness campaign. By the end of the day, I am assured that you will have garnered the necessary tools and suggested methods for implementation, which you can use, and I am hoping that you will indeed use, to educate our young people on their fundamental human rights. As Minister in the Ministry of Social Development, I appreciate and embrace every attempt to bring awareness to all human rights. We advocate for the rights of all our people and often the agents of change defending the rights of all citizens.
Yesterday's awareness workshop was facilitated by a delegation from Youth for Human Rights International. It also received a presentation by former Commissioner of Police Calvin Foy on the Constitution and legislation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Please stay with us. We'll have more local news after this break.
This is Empress Liberty and I'm coming from St. Kitts. I want to big up NTV, Brown Hill Communication, and a Stitching Time.
Hi, I'm Purple and you're in tune to NTV. Keep it locked.
Welcome back. Regulator attached to the Nevis Financial Services Department, Heidelin Sutton, is encouraging financial service practitioners to conduct due diligence checks to improve the culture of compliance. The department hosted its 10th annual Anti-Money Laundering AML Countering Financing of Terrorism CFT seminar and training workshop on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. While giving welcome remarks, Sutton advised practitioners to know their customers and their businesses.
Customer identification is the first line of defense against money laundering. Conducting adequate risk assessments prior to establishing your business relationships. And this is the first line of defense against financial and reputational damage. Make sure that you report all suspicious transactions to our financial intelligence unit. Establish and maintain proper records of all your clients' financial transactions and be alert of any unusual activity.
According to Sutton, these are simple and fundamental procedures that must be in place. She also encouraged financial service providers to train their staff.
Appoint a compliance officer who will be the liaison between your institution and the regulator. Also ensure that your new staff, frontline staff as well, and those dealing with new customers are trained in your institution's AML and CFT policies and procedures. Get to know our key pieces of legislation. Familiarize yourselves with the Proceeds of Crime Act, Anti-Terrorism Act, Financial Services Regulatory Commission Act, Financial Intelligence Unit Act, and last but not least, the anti-money laundering regulations and the guidance notes appended thereto. Of course, we have those available on our website.
Sutton says the department's working together with the private sector to preserve a strong AML CFT regime makes it more difficult for terrorists and money launderers to use this jurisdiction to exploit its economy. The two-day workshop was facilitated by certified anti-money laundering specialists Michelle Martin and Jean Morency and covered a range of topics in keeping with the theme, de-risking your institution by improving the culture of compliance. The Nevis Youth Parliamentarians will put on a mock budget sit-in at the Nevis Island Assembly Chambers at 10 a.m. on Monday, March 9th. This is to commemorate World Commonwealth Day, which is celebrated on the second Monday in March and is this year being observed under the theme, A Young Commonwealth. Today, clerk in the Nevis Island Assembly, Shamika Maloney, gave these details about the mock sit-in.
This year they'll be doing a mock budget sitting that would be similar to the annual budget sitting that takes place in the Nevis Island Assembly as well as the Federal Parliament. So it would be interesting for persons to come on out and observe the youth in action. This is also an opportunity for the youth to showcase their skills in terms of presentation, to boost their self-confidence and public speaking skills, and also an opportunity for them to select particular career choices, whether it be in Parliament, working for the Assembly, or otherwise. It is indeed a great opportunity, and we are delighted that Nevis, being a small branch, will be actively participating in this year's activities once again.
Maloney explained that there would be full participation of the youth this coming Monday.
Participation will be from students from the Gingerland Secondary School as well as the Charlestown Secondary School. We'll have students on the opposition side as well as for the government side presenting during that time. The other students will also be participating in the roles of president, clerk, sergeant at arms, and the other functions associated with the assembly on that day. So you'll have basically full participation of the youth as they try to stick to the theme of a young Commonwealth.
Maloney also took the opportunity to thank the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association for its support.
When the session is completed, we would have the video footage as well as still photographs to forward to the CPA Secretariat in London, who has graciously sponsored a portion of the event for Monday, and we take this opportunity to thank them for their continued support of the Nevis branch as well as now our youth parliamentarians.
Commonwealth Day is the annual celebration of the Commonwealth of Nations. Among other activities, it is marked by an address by the Queen of England to the Commonwealth, broadcast throughout the world. That's it for tonight's edition of the Nevis Newscast. Thank you for viewing. Good night.